Jerry Madigan's back in the show. You've been on before, and it's nice to have you with us again, Jerry.
Thank you, Dave.
Jerry Madigan has been working in the business of helping managers manage better for over 20 years, and your new book is called The 10-Minute Interview, and this is the interview that could make or break a company. And you say it's all about engagement. What do you mean?
Yeah, well, that's what it is. In today's world and today's workforce, we've got a huge labor and talent crunch, and when we look at all the reports that have come in, they're telling us that a large percentage of the people who are in the workforce are not engaged, and they're not satisfied with the work. And you ask the question, well, why is that, or how can you tell this? And the symptoms of a disengaged workforce are high turnover, low productivity, low performance, low morale, high absenteeism, things like that. And you ask the question, well, how does this happen? And 9 times out of 10, you'll find from the people, they'll say, well, my manager never talks to me.
Yeah.
I don't have this time to actually converse with them and tell them about issues and things like that.
Yes.
So, and this is a very simple solution, and that is actually taking that time, taking 10 minutes on a regular basis, on a monthly basis, consistently and regularly, and having the conversation so that you have exclusive time with your manager.
It's not just an email, or it's not just a group meeting.
No, it's not. Well, you know, people say, well, when you ask, how do you get feedback from your people? They say, oh, well, my door is always open. You know, I mean, that's a great one.
Yes.
We have suggestion box, we have surveys, we've got team meetings. Well, a lot of people, they don't feel comfortable about, you know, well, excuse me, I've got an issue in the middle of a team meeting and with their peers. You know, everybody says, oh, he's got an issue, you know.
Yeah.
But if you know that you're going to have 10 minutes exclusively with your manager, where you can bring this issue up, when he asks, do you have any issues, anything you want to talk about? And you can, yeah, I do have something.
Yeah.
Well, you feel comfortable that the security and the confidentiality of a one-on-one, it makes it much easier. And that engages the people. That's what the engagement is all about.
And oftentimes, Jerry, and you talk about this, the challenge is you think, how do I do that? What do I talk about? What's the structure? What if it goes on for 2 hours? What if I have nothing to say? And what you do is you break it down and say, here's the structure for it.
Yeah, because I think it's not just a casual conversation. You can have those all the time. And I think when you talk about coaching, there are a lot of coaching moments that you can have in your organization. When you're passing by somebody's desk, you say, you know, how are things going, etc. But if the conversation is not structured, if there's not a structured format for it, it can go all over the place. So the TMI, the 10-minute interview, is a structured process, a structured format of communicating with your people.
Okay, now the book is loaded, I know, with all kinds of information, but let's take a little bit of it. Break down the interview itself. First of all, you talk about the appointment. What's that about?
Yeah, you actually set the appointment. If you don't schedule time with your people, you get so busy during the day or during the week, during the month, and suddenly 2 months has gone by and you say, gosh, I haven't had a conversation with you.
Yeah.
And I mean, I remember talking to somebody at an exit interview, and I said, well, you know, why are you leaving? Well, my manager never talks to me. And I said, well, when was the last time you had a conversation? Well, 18 months ago. And I said, what?
Yeah.
You know, I think that, I found that incredibly hard to believe, but it was true, and that's why she was leaving the company. So the first thing is, set an appointment. Say, okay, we're going to meet 10 o'clock on Tuesday morning just for 10 minutes just to get together.
Okay, simple, set the appointment. Then the interview itself, what's that?
The interview itself, it takes the format. The first thing you do is, when you meet them, is to give them some positive feedback. I think it sets the tone. So if you haven't got something positive to say, find something positive. You know, ask somebody, what have they done? But if you don't give some sort of applause for doing something, they're going to feel that they're not really valued.
Yeah.
But when you set the tone, when you start the interview with a positive comment, you know, by the way, great job on that project. You brought it in on time and on the budget. That was terrific. Really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Immediately they feel, wow, that's good. I'm appreciated.
It's a great way to start.
Yeah, so it starts.
Okay, feedback part 1. You have it in 2 parts. What's feedback part 1?
Well, the feedback part 1 is you'll ask them, you know, how are things going with you? And not to focus on production, you know, our report updates. That's really not what this is all about. This is a getting to know you conversation. So you talk to the person and you ask them, you know, how are you getting on? How are you getting on with your peers? Any issues, any problems, any challenges? And you're just trying to draw them out to see if there's anything on their mind.
Okay.
Now, some of the things may be that the feedback you have to give as well, yeah, I've noticed that, but maybe you have to explain why this is happening or why it's not happening. And not to get into empty promises. If they say, well, I'd like this to change, well, you can explain, well, I'll do my best to change that, but I'm not sure that's within my control. But what I can do
Yeah.
is something else. So now some of the things may be that the feedback you have to give as well. Yeah, I've noticed that, but maybe you have to explain why this is happening or why it's not happening, and not to get into empty promises. If they say, well, I'd like this to change, well, you can explain, well, I'll do my best to change that, but I'm not sure that's within my control. But what I can do is something else. So it's sort of give and take. You're giving some honest, concrete feedback to them on the issues that they've raised.
And talk about listening. That's such a key.
Oh, I mean, 2/3 of the whole interview should be listening, because you're trying to, you really want to hear. I call this the finger on the pulse. You know, people say, well, what do you mean the finger on the pulse? Well, if your people are the heart of your organization, which they should be, and the most valuable asset really that you have, if you don't have some method of keeping your finger on the pulse, well, you could have a heart attack at any time.
Yeah.
You know, and you'll never know what's happening.
Okay, there's always so much to talk about, Jerry, but if people want more information, there is a website. People can get more information there at mmitraining.ca. And the book itself, TMI, the 10-minute interview by Jerry Madigan, is available at McNally Robinson.
McNally Robinson, yeah.
People can find you there. It's always good of you to come in. Jerry, welcome back.
Thanks, Dave.